It was, now it's muted again. They're
But
good.
as long as they're white. we're good.
Yep, you're good now.
Okay. I call this meeting to order and as we all rise to take the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And as we read about it stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do you want to call the roll, please? First Supervisor Rotundo.
Here.
Counselor Christmas.
Here.
Counselor Light.
Here.
Counselor Loomis.
Here.
Counselor Angelo.
Here.
Highway Superintendent PR Way.
Here.
Thanks. Welcome, everybody. This is Wednesday, September 7th, so Labor Day. That's not my normal schedule this month. Luckily, we don't need to have a moment of silence for our residents. We had no one pass away that we know of in the town this past month, so that's good. That is good news. However, I would just like to offer, because I'm going to do this, congratulations to Anne and her husband. Their daughter Nicole got married over the weekend, so very fun.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. So we're gonna dive right into the agenda because Tom has to be in another meeting, so he's going first.
Thank you. So if we go to the back page, receipts and disbursements. Not a super interesting month, some good news. Franchise fees came in slightly better than expected, a few $100s. So by the end of the year, we'll probably be up by about 1,000 to budget. If they continue along this way. Good month for town clerk fees, almost 2,500. And the other good news is the night class interest is now up to about 2%. And that's really helping us out a lot when we're at 0.02% before. So that's good news. The rest of the way down through the report, you'll see under capital development, we did receive the first funds for the Main Street grant. You'll have been signing a voucher for that, going to the individual that's doing the improvements. On the spending side, just normal stuff going on there. Nothing really jumped out at me as overly exciting. We expect this time. As far as the main report goes, our general spending is at about 64% without SOT, so we're on target, and our revenues are at 88%. Our highway spending is at 34%, which is low year to date, and our revenue is at 86%. But I think we just bought a piece of equipment. That'll change next month. So that's good news. I think that's all I had for you on the report today.
I'll make a motion. We accept the supervisor's monthly report for August.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
So I did also prepare a transfer sheet. It wasn't on the agenda. So at the top is getting the funding together to proceed with the preserve drainage improvements. And so we have 200,000 coming from the county grant. We'd have 74,000 from the drainage district itself that's been accumulating. And then I'm proposing to use 24,000 of the ARPA funds to make up the balance on that. So that'll leave us with about 604,000 in the ARPA funds after this transaction. And then as far as the general fund goes, I'm moving some money from contingent to the building equipment in anticipation of getting the grant funding for the water heater and some of the other projects we've been completing. And we're under a little bit on the personal services in the youth program, the swim program, and I'm moving that contractual, get some bigger contractual expenses into. Overall, we should be in good shape. And you probably saw the big bill in the pile for the pool rental, $7,000. We didn't have quite enough.
So we were under on personal services and swim program?
Yeah, and I think it's because we had anticipated more, another WSI and another lifeguard, and we ended up with more aid, one more aid than a lifeguard or something like that. So there's a different pay there.
I'll make a motion that we approve the budget transfers for the capital development fund and the general fund that Tom just explained.
No seconds it. Any discussion? I have one question. I just want to be clear about it's appropriate to use the ARPA funds for a water.
Actually, originally, this was about the only thing we could have used ARPA funds for. But when they came out with a new ruling in, I think it was February of this year, they gave us a little more discretion. So originally, this was the only kind of thing we could use it on was sewer, water, and environmental improvement. But they've given us a little bit more leeway to use it for more normal town expenses, because a lot of, all of us, all of the little towns don't have that kind of infrastructure that they're gonna be spending that money on.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, I think the bank reconciliations are making their way around. Not sure how far they got, but we need a motion approving the bank reconciliation.
All right, I'll make a motion that we approve the bank reconciliation.
Well, there would be for the supervisor, the clerk, and the tax collector. Did you sign these two?
I did.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Seconds there, although, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And the last one was the payment of the vouchers.
Make a motion.
Discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I'll stick around for a few more minutes. I'm just gonna grab, make sure they got all the signatures.
Okay. So. This over here. So we're gonna move on to the pivot project. So first of all, just to recap, where we left off in August. We decided to adjourn a decision on the project until September for basically two reasons. One was to have OSIDA, Onondaga County Industrial Development Agency, come and present to us on what exactly it is that they offer relative to pilot programs, pilot agreements, especially with respect to solar. And the other was to respond to the offer that we had received from Pivot Energies that came in after the July meeting and before the August meeting, but without enough time to really be able to digest it and counter. So with respect to OSIDA, the anticipation was that we would be able to hold an informational session so that the board itself could get better informed. That was my understanding when I spoke to them prior to the August board meeting. When I called them back after, and I assumed it could be public. When I called them back to arrange a time to schedule it, I was informed that they were uncomfortable. So, and then they called me back and said, we don't really do that. They speak with town officials about economic development and what OSIDA has to offer and educate town officials on that, but they don't do public hearings, especially when it's with respect to a particular project. They're not comfortable doing that. They're not comfortable getting involved at that, in that. So we were not able to have that happen. They're still willing to come and speak with town officials. And I'll probably take them up on that, separate and apart from the project. As far as a counteroffer made by the town to Pivot, I did take initiative to do that. I reached out to board members to ask for input. I got responses, but not really a lot of suggestions on what to include in an offer. So I would take full responsibility for the offer that, the counter offer that was made to Pivot. And it was a struggle for me to make an offer, because if I didn't offer enough, then it wasn't even a consideration that the project would, it would be an option for the project. And if I offered too much, it would get turned down. So I went for big. And what I asked Pivot to consider was doubling the host benefit agreement that was part of the original offer they had made. They made an offer to match the pilot payment with a separate additional payment each year, tracking it through the 25 years. I asked them to double that match. I also asked them to increase an escrow account they were willing to set up in the amount of $10,000 for legal and engineering fees to $25,000, because $10,000 doesn't go too far. Sorry, Tim, you're dealing with lawyers and engineers. I also asked for them to consider making a one-time contribution to a future town project that benefits the community. The project would be, and these were my words, determined by the town, and the Pivot contribution would be negotiated upon the selection of the project. And we could cap the amount of the contribution that we would request of Pivot, so there would be some clarity, some going forward. And the reason I asked for a community project is because this town has very little in the way of community. We all are in 4 different school districts, we go to different churches, and there's not really a central place. So trying to do something that would be of a community spirit was something, it's been something I've cared about for quite a while. And the fourth part of the offer was establishment of a scholarship fund for a scholarship to be awarded annually to a Pompey resident, a Pompey student in the Fabius Pompey School District for the life of the solar project, which is estimated to be 25 years. That had originally been on the table, and when Pivot made its offer back in July, it wasn't included. So I asked them to reconsider that, because, and the reason for the Fabius Pompey School District is because that is the school district within which the project would exist. So I got an answer. They're not willing to change the host community benefit payment amount. But they were open to discussions related to taxation, and will follow state guidance related to taxable value, which is currently up for debate. Lawsuit going on right now at the state level over how to assess solar projects. But currently, this was part of their response. Currently, the 25-year payments to the town total over $160,000. And the sum for town, county, and school district, which is the savings to taxpayers, is over $760,000 over 25 years. The escrow fund would be raised to $22,500, paid in $7,500 increments. Pivot is willing to support a community project, and they would agree to fund an annual scholarship for a Pompey student. And the fund would include $25,000, so it would be $1,000. So I sent that to all of our board members so that they're aware. If you will, negotiations. So those were the reasons for the adjournment. That's the update I have for the board on what has transpired in the last month. And so, as divided as this town is over this issue, is as divided as this board is over this issue. And it is fair to say that the town is very evenly split, despite what others might think, based on responses we have all received. Petitions, emails, public comments, phone calls. That's what I have to report, and I'm curious as to where the board wants to go at this point.
Well, Renee, I think, thank you for doing that. I think Pivot has really responded. Scholarship is great. It's more than a lot to get at the school. Currently, I know we only get $196 a year in property taxes. So over 25 years, Pivot would give us a lot more in property taxes than what the homeowner currently pays. You know, and I keep hearing, Pompey has got to get thinking of the future, not with their heads buried in the sand. So I think they've come back with a really good offer.
I'm still in the same spot I was before. Again, this really, which I said to you in an email, this really wasn't on my reasonings for not accepting it, so so my feelings are exactly the same as they were before. I think the location is not encroaching on it so close to the neighbors, and if we avoid the total farmland, I definitely think that would be something I could consider, but this one here just does not fit, in my opinion.
So what do you want to do? I mean, I haven't heard from Bill or Dave. I don't know if you want to be heard from, but I'm, I think-
Possible resolution.
Yeah, so if you don't mind, so at the last board meeting, we kind of went through the options that might be available for this board to consider. And I have provided you with several drafts of different options that might be available. Option two, which was really the option to pass a resolution that also included a memorandum kind of outlining the reasons why a majority of the board is not does not believe this local law makes sense. The one main issue in there that Renee and I just kind of discussed is the issue of the pilot and the counter offer. There really wasn't a counter offer on the pilot. And the pilot really seems to be the major sticking point because under current law, you could agree to a pilot with Pivot Energy that would require them to pay up to the full value of that property. Now, of course, that would not make economic sense for Pivot to go forward and do this project, but that is what the law says you can ask for. I think Renee asked for twice as much on the pilot.
no, not on the pilot.
But right now, I think the pilot issue is really the main issue because we're kind of thinking of 2,500 a year for the town, which is really what was said in the public hearing.
Well, it starts at 25. Yeah.
It goes up by 2% every year after that. That wasn't sufficient for the financing or the business proposition that it would undertake and entertain, and that would be a lot less than what that property would be valued at 100%. So I think that was kind of the sticking point with at least two members of the board. Remember, probably three. And I don't think that's changed at all since the last meeting, but the option two, which is the resolution that says we aren't going to, there's not enough support to pass this local law. Here are the reasons why, which attached to the memorandum and kind of explained the reasons why. And one of them was the pilot. There were a couple of the other ones had to do with the land and the big farmland, the view shed, issues that were raised about the inability of the town to, address problems that may occur on site, with a lack of resources that we might have. And, then the final one was the pilot issue. So
Do we want to read it? I mean, I'm prepared to make a motion on that resolution, but do you want to read it? I mean, I don't want.
is there a consensus of the board that that's where, I know that at least two people are not supportive
I
of
don't
it.
support that at all.
Yeah, are not supportive of that.
I
that-
probably.
Yeah.
But no,
But we can,
and I don't agree with some of the contents of the memorandum. I don't
and
think it's accurate. In terms of like the majority opinions, because some of it relates to what
but we're talking about the majority of opinion on
I
the
know.
floor.
I agree. I know, but I'm saying the majority, whatever, suffice it to say, you're right. There are two of us probably wrong. I'm not, I'll speak for myself, but don't agree with.
And and it's nice when we can all agree, but there are,
Right.
this is a legislative body and unanimity is not required. And frankly, if there's too much unanimity, it's probably
It's
not a
problematic.
good thing. So don't be
This is good.
apologetic of the fact that not everybody on the board agrees with each other. That's a common and normal thing. It should happen. But I mean, I can certainly, if that's the avenue, the option two is the avenue you want to go with, we can go through those documents if you'd like to, or if everybody's read them and understands them. You tell me what you want to do.
That's. You know,
I mean,
you know, there was.
there is a really good offer for this town on the table, and OSIDA, I've sent all of the materials about OSIDA to this board for them to review. And you can look at the projects that you see, and you can see the cost benefit analysis that they do. It's not up to us to do a cost benefit analysis. But, so, no, we can, it depends on what the majority wants, and I'm just gonna tell you, that's not what I want. But you need, so people need to speak up.
Well, I did go online and look at the OSIDE information that you
Yeah.
sent out, and both of the success stories that you referenced, it said page not found for both of them. So it was tough. It was tough for
Well,
me
I
to
got
do
it right here. I don't
do
know
the
why that is.
analysis beyond what the general ruling was, which I did for now and go through.
Did you go on the OSIDA website?
I did,
You didn't find these?
no. I'm
They
assuming. it
were
was in
on
the-
that one
it was
page,
in the
Data's
link.
right, there's one, but if you went on the website, you could find.
Anyway, regardless, the materials, although we couldn't have OSIDA here in person to explain things, they have plenty of materials on their website.
Just keep in mind that if this board did pass this law for the zone change, it gives up to its authority to tax that property to OSIDA, and OSIDA will follow its process and procedures and that's a big part of this, I think. But as an economic development project, and it is considered an economic development project, that's why OSIDA could even step in here. And separate and distinct from our ability to enter into a pilot rock with Pivot. If Pivot didn't like the deal we made with them, they can go to OSIDA and consider this an economic development project, and OSIDA can step in on behalf of the town. So I think that is part of the concern that I have heard in the past.
Yeah, and Renee, just a further comment on your question, whether we looked at the information or not.
I didn't question it. I said I sent it to you
Yeah,
guys.
on page 9 and 10 of 15, it calls out the energy pilot agreement and how it's calculated. We postponed this last month so that we could talk about someone from the county to come in and show us, how does this work? And is there something that we're missing, or what other value can we obtain through OSIDA? And unfortunately, not only did it not happen in a public forum, it didn't happen in a private forum. And, to me, it looks like a pretty straightforward calculation. But again, I'm not a pilot expert when it comes to the benefits, but it looks like according to this, it's pretty straightforward.
So I just think that this board needs to voice what they want to do. I voice what I want. James has voiced what he wants to do. So the rest of you should speak up because that will make it, that will decide it. And let's move on.
I would support option two.
You're not gonna go along with it, so.
Are you supporting option two, Dave, or?
I'm supporting option two.
There you go.
All right, so option two is the resolution that is, and I don't know if you have it. Nikki? It's the resolution that says in the matter of zone change request by Pivot Energy for the solar energy system overlay district. And it's got draft on the top of it, and it kind of goes through and explains the project. And it also explains that the board, that there's not a majority of the board who would support this local law. Then it references a memorandum, which will be attached to it, and will be put in the file. And the memorandum is a little bit more detailed as to why it raises the concerns that the majority of the town board have about local law 2022 dash whatever it is. So it would be that resolution. Does everybody have that resolution? Does everybody have it in front of them? Does anybody want me to read it? Or do you have
I
any
mean,
questions about it?
I take a motion. That's that resolution, but I don't know if you want to read it for the public or anything else. That's totally.
I think I summarized that. I don't know that I have to go over the whole thing. But if you want.
So Mike, I have a question for you, Tim.
Yes.
So if I don't agree with the contents of the memorandum, I just say that in the memorandum. I mean, there's parts of it that I don't think accurately reflect. But
Don't reflect your opinion.
no, don't reflect what happened.
Factually, you don't think?
Actually,
Okay, so let me know what doesn't, and then we'll kind of go through it and see. if everybody-
well, first of all, in the first paragraph about the issue of the land classification as agricultural, I don't believe, other than James, that was the basis for. There's no majority on that. It was only James that I thought raised.
No,
Planning board.
no, my recollection, the planning board said it, and then
Yeah.
my recollection is that
Yeah.
both Dave
Yeah.
and Bill were concerned about the classification of that under the seeker section that asks what kind of classification that was, and it's a 1 through 4 classification, which means it's prime farmland.
Okay. So paragraph 2 regarding panoramic view says that there'll be a significant detrimental visual impact. And Pivot has not provided sufficient information that would show how the view shed impacts would be mitigated. And my feeling is that they did show that. They offered screening, they moved the project back from another, like twice the distance from the road and from the house in question. But, so I don't know why that is.
Because I think 3 other board members believe it will have a visual impact, and that's what most of the public said.
I don't recall that being there.
Here tonight,
I know, but their issues in July were, Bill and Dave's, were that it was the benefit to the town was not great enough to counter the risks and the costs.
So let's read the whole
It
thing.
wasn't about.
Let's read the whole thing, and it says, and if people don't agree with it, we could strike it. The panoramic view surrounding the site and the residential properties directly adjacent to the proposed large-scale commercial solar energy system will suffer a significant detrimental visual impact, and Pivot Energy Inc. has not provided sufficient information that would show how the view shed impacts would be mitigated. So if people don't agree with that, let me know. If the majority of you don't, we'll just strike
I
that.
thought they showed pictures of what it was gonna look like with the trees and everything, and that you wouldn't be able to see it.
There was
Can't see a
going-
lot of it right now anyways.
I mean, whatever, it's definitely going to impact the closest adjacent property. Bill and Dave can comment, but in my opinion, it definitely impacts it.
But that's not what paragraph 2 reads.
Yes,
It's
it
much
does.
broader than that. It talks about the panoramic view surrounding the site.
And the residential properties directly
And-
adjacent to the proposed
I just don't think it's accurate, but again, that's how I recall the July discussions.
Yeah, there was definitely concern from the residential perspective. I mean, we've heard from the Stacers, I've heard from the other neighbors there that were concerned about the ultimate view shed.
It's not what they're concerned about. It's what you said you were concerned about. That's what this is, this memorandum. It's not about what they said.
He could say that tonight if he wants to.
Well, okay, but that wasn't part of July. I mean,
Well-
I'm just basing that, fine, then say it tonight. I'm just saying that was not part of either Bill, as my recall is, or Dave's
Yeah, I
concerns at the time in July.
okay, when we voted on this in July, we also didn't have many of the facts that we have today regarding cost and other dollars and cents that they're willing to put up. You asked then why I didn't support it. It was the dollars and cents and not understanding it.
I guess, Renee, from the perspective of the vote tonight, people are reading this thing tonight. The vote is going to be based on this tonight.
Okay. But then
And whether or not, well, this is what's going to stand as the rationale for the lack of support for the local law. If you disagree with what's in here, I'd like to, if there's something factual in here that's incorrect, we can fix that.
The reason I'm making an issue out of it, because it says in this memorandum on July 6th, 2022, some of this I do not recall being the basis for what people said their positions were, because we never did vote. It was not a vote on July 6th. It was just a stating of positions.
But this doesn't say July 6th. It says the following reasons were cited by a majority. of the-
Go over to paragraph
I get it, but that just says on July 6th at the regular town monthly meeting, the town board discussed the local law
Express their
and
opinion.
expressed their opinions on whether the zone change was in the best interest of the town. I think that's an accurate statement. The town attorney explained that unlike a site plan, special permit or subdivision, which the zone change is in the sole discretion of the town board, since it's a legislative action. Notwithstanding the discretion vested in the town board.
Okay, let's not go, we don't need to read through it. The bottom line is, I don't agree with this. I'm not going to stand in the way of the vote. But I'm just saying that I have objections to some of the language and it does not accurately reflect the new offer that was made. It only talks about the offer that was made back before the August board meeting. So I'm just saying, there are things in here that I don't think, in my opinion, and it's just my opinion. So if that's not going to matter, then let's move on. Let's move on.
I make a motion that we pass this resolution with the memorandum.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Actually, let's do a roll call.
Supervisor Rotundo,
Nay.
Counselor Christmas,
No.
Counselor Light,
Aye.
Counselor Loomis,
Aye.
Counselor Angelo,
I,
Motion carried.
Would you like me to update the memorandum? I'm going to update it to tonight.
It should have been done. If we were gonna do it, we should have updated it before we made the vote, I think. But no, I'm fine. It doesn't seem like my understanding was that it was the reflection of what happened on July 6th. Because this came before the board in August. So if that was my understanding. So me thinking that was that what was contained in those 4 paragraphs in this memorandum related to what was discussed on July 6th. If that was not accurate, then it doesn't matter, so. And if it's meant, it's fine. So, Nikki,
yes.
you're next.
Yeah, if the board's had the chance to review my August 1st meeting minutes, I'm looking for board acceptance with the revised revisions that I got today.
I would make a motion to accept the town clerk's regular meeting minutes from August 1st.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Nikki, did you get anything on the credit card company from the guy switching the companies?
No, he's out of the country right
No.
now. He'll be back in next time.
Any opposed?
No.
Motion carried. Yeah,
I'm looking for, or I'd like to assign or have the board assign or approve bill like the highway department employees liaison. Did you get the memo, Bill?
I did tonight.
I don't know if you got a vote on that, then, like, what?
Yeah, the board can appoint, do you
Can I
want
just
that
ask-
highway liaison?
Can I just ask what it is?
It would be a member of the town board who would be really a contact person for his department. And then report back to the board if there are issues or problems and so that highway department, the superintendent, and even the employees have someone they can go directly to on the town board, then he can disseminate information to the town.
I actually think that that's a good idea for more than just the highway. I think
Most-
to do it for codes or planning and zoning and.
Most towns actually have
Yeah.
liaisons for each department.
So, I mean, we can do it tonight for you, and we should think about it for the future.
I would agree with that.
Motion then? I make a motion that Bill Mike is the liaison for the highway department.
Second it.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carried.
Thank you. New payloader has been delivered and we just sold the old one on Auctions International for 84,100.
Nice.
Nice work, which was almost 20,000 more than what they gave us for trade-in value, so we made out pretty good on that one. We just got an update from Alta on the Great All. It has arrived in Syracuse and it had to go through the new vehicle inspection. We should see it by the end of September.
I'll get the
Hopefully.
account sent up then.
We finished up 4 miles of oil and stone with Midland. And we got 2/3 of a job completed with Suco right now. We still got to do the micro surfacing. So that's about where we're at.
When's the money for the, from the auction?
The auction, you should, they got 5 days to pay it.
Okay, so soon.
Yeah, I had it here somewhere.
Oh, that's nice.
Well, they got 5 days to pay it and then we'll see it within 15 days when they get it.
It's the auction company.
Yes.
Okay. So board members, you should think about if you would like to be a liaison for a certain department in the town, but we won't, we're not gonna go there tonight, but I think it is. It's worthwhile. We got this budget. We've got code, I mean, codes can include planning and zoning. I don't think it has to be separate, but it could. So anyway. Clerk's office. Gotta keep our eye on you.
Right there.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
It
thanks.
shouldn't be too long.
Yeah, no. Can I see Tyler? Tyler, do you want to talk about the codes report or that Tim gave me or?
I'm not 100% sure what Tim gave you.
Okay, that's why I thought maybe you wouldn't. But Tyler is here tonight, one of our deputy codes officer. Did everybody get a chance to review the code report for the month? And I'll just summarize it. This is the month of August. 6 permits were issued, 8 projects were completed and issued certificates of compliance. We had a rather large number of stop work orders. We had 5. So I think that town resident complaints are being acted on. If there is reason, right, Tyler?
Yes.
So. So Tim, you want to talk about the Acton School District? I gave everybody a copy of that.
So we have been having discussions with the FM school district about having a agreement in place. The town of Pownell collects school taxes on behalf of the school district and this formalizes that relationship with the FM school district. It would be for a for a year, but it's a 30, we can get out of it within 30 days, either party can. The main issue here was, there were two main issues, the process by which we collect taxes and we then allocate the money back to the school district and the time frame for that. And Nikki was very helpful to us and giving us a set of brains on how it actually works. And as long as Nikki's comfortable with the changes that were made, which is basically we do deposits every day, which she has always done. And she now will make the allocation to the school district every Thursday during the course of this tax collection season. She was making it once every 2 weeks. Now she's going to do it once a week, which will cut down on any potential issues of us holding money and cybersecurity and all those kinds of things that they're concerned about. So that process was worked out. Then there was the other process or the other concern about indemnification and insurance and making sure that if something ever went wrong, that the school district would be protected. So we kind of went back and forth on that. And we ultimately ended up with language that says, to the extent that if something happens to money and we make a claim for that money, that the claim would be the extent of the liability of the indemnification. School district can still come back to us if there's an overage of that and make a formal petition claim to us, basically. But right now we're limiting it to whatever insurance recovery we get for problems that might occur with money being stolen, taken cyber-wise, or whatever it might be. So they were comfortable with that language. I'm comfortable with that language. Renee, I don't know if you're.
No, I've read it and since I was part of those
Yeah.
discussions, if you're good with that, I'm good with it.
Okay, I'm fine with it. So Nikki, are you?
I'm good with that.
Okay. So we just need a motion to,
It's wired or check? Are you
Check.
wiring it?
Check
to the school district.
Because
everything.
it says wired, so that was something different.
Where is that?
4D. Wire all funds collected during the week to the school district's designated bank account.
Cross it out. Just
Cross out the word wire, cross our T's.
Just wire, right?
Right, yeah. Just cross out the word wire and that when Renee, you sign it, it'll be that you just keep your copy of it.
But the D doesn't make sense if you take out the verb. Wire all funds
Can we say
collected.
mail? We can.
Provide.
Transfer, provide. And that line is from the original. It looks like it's all crossed off, like a little bit, but it's not. It's, yeah, in each page, there's something in the copy.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. I think it was.
I don't know why.
So the copy you have, just.
I'll sign this copy and give it to Nikki.
Can
I'll
you just
make a
scan it?
motion to authorize Renee to sign them.
When help, wait to that first.
I'll second it.
Any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye, opposed, motion carried.
You can scan it as well.
Okay. And
Bring us up to speed on what we've been doing.
was met on the short-term rentals. We've identified 3 issues that we're working on, definitions and safety issues, and different things we want to have included in it. I think we're going to be giving something to start with, basically. We've got one here that's
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah, I've shared the one that you sent us, Tim. I forget what town, but.
That was a-
Somerset.
Yeah, it was relatively simple one. I liked it.
It is, it's a lot of the things
Yeah.
we've talked about.
So I will send you the 3, we identified 3 priorities, that we thought should be the main ones, the main thrust, and then, I'll send you that and you can play with it and see what you come up with. Just as a, well, after the meeting, last month, when it reported out. I got a call from someone who mistook the fact that we're passing a local law as though we were banning this, and that's not our intention. So I'll just put that out there. It's our intention to make sure that if they, we want to be safe and not have neighbor disturbances. That's really the two primary goals. So we're just working on that. So it's not to ban.
Do we want to re-say the three priorities? So what, just so
Yeah,
people all, you know.
I have them here too, but if you have them quickly.
Well, I know safety was one, yeah, for sure.
Well, we had a bunch of them last time, but when we met this month, we narrowed it down to definitions. The definitions would really drive
How everything runs.
so we want a good definition section and then codes / safety, so inspections and fire and then we also talked about ownership, whether we want to have something where ownership has to be either local, like a town of Pompey resident owns the property, or
Something close by.
somebody close by. What we want to avoid is absentee owners, absentee and corporate owners. So those are the things that we were really looking at. We also we thought about it, but we don't know enough yet to understand the tax implications of people who want to do this, having to come before the town to get licensed or registered or whatever it is. We don't even know yet, but
And we're checking with occupancy taxes if they ever come.
if there's something that we're supposed to be doing or getting, put it that way, but so we'll
Like
see.
the hotel tax.
It's not a hotel tax, yeah, but it's a, that's what,
We got.
don't ask.
All right, okay.
We still don't know, but it did get raised because some of the other local laws that we looked at referred to it. So,
The important part is we're just trying to come up with some general guidelines for these things. We're not trying to stop any.
Right. That's not the intentional, absolutely.
Make it, the kind of more uniform, so it's not just a really known all over the place. And
Yeah. Just want to make sure that it's safe and that it's not a disturbance to people that live close by. So we'll have to see how it goes, and as with all of these things, their guidance, and they can be changed if we need to, so. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next is, so if you recall, last month, there was a letter I provided, and I think I gave it, put it in your packets again on the home page regarding the December Christmas week holiday hunt, deer hunt. And I think, Bill, it was you that had asked if we could table it and have some time to look into it. So I heard back from everyone. Oddly enough, I wasn't expecting that, but I'm wondering where we stand now. I take it that you all got the letter or an email from a local resident that came through just today or yesterday. Was it yesterday?
Yesterday.
Yeah. So y'all.
There's a couple. Thanks for pushing that out.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if, and one of the things I just, for the public's information, this letter to the governor is only to ask her to sign legislation that's been passed by the legislature. And the legislation includes, it allows for the holiday hunt, but it includes an opting out by counties up from that hunt. So the towns have no authority to opt out. It is the county.
It's not just the town, it would have to be the whole Onondaga County would have to.
The county legislature would have to be the determiner of whether Onondaga County towns are not going to have the hunt. So this is just this is a letter, and I shouldn't say just, this is a letter to the governor asking her to sign that legislation so that if towns don't want it, for instance, in Onondaga County, they can go and to their county legislator and ask for the county to consider opting out. I just want to make that clear because I think people think we have some ability to do something and we don't.
Yeah, and we're not.
We're not the
allowing it
ones.
or stopping it.
And what I discovered between the last meeting and this meeting is the legislation has not been sent to governor's desk yet, which has not triggered she has to sign it within a certain amount of time. So, so I don't know.
Never happened.
It might never is right. So this is just, but this is a letter that is saying the town of Pompey is asking to pass that legislation, or to sign that legislation
That
allows towns to opt out and in favor of opting out. I mean, it's not like the town is not, the town is saying that they're in favor of it. But because I think people needed a chance to consider this last time. I don't know where, I think I know where everybody's at, but I don't know if any of the recent correspondence changed anybody's minds.
No, I'm actually glad we postponed the vote, or, yeah, I mean, not that it's a gigantic issue, but it gave us time to look into it. I think I spoke with a bunch of different people, hunters, non-hunters, people that are really into hunting. And it sounds like I'm gonna change my position and support this letter being sent.
So do you want to make the motion to authorize me to send the letter?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we send this letter, the Renee sign and send the letter to the governor asking for the holiday hunt legislation to be signed.
I'll second it.
Is there any other discussion? Anybody? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So that was old business. On to new business. The first item, we're not going to take up tonight because it's not ready. And I didn't know that until the last minute, so we'll hold on that one. We put out but I will move on to the second. We put out a notice that we are looking for a board secretary for our planning and our zoning boards. And we got responses, and Nikki and I did interviews and narrowed it down to one person. So her name is Sarah LaJudas. She lives in Saddle Ridge on the western part, in the western part of the town. I would make a motion based on the fact that Nikki, who would have to work closely with her, recommends her to appoint Sarah LaJudas, our new town planning and zoning board secretary for the at the current rate of and I forget what it is it the measly rate of $15 an hour.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carried. I will make sure that this gets back to. Okay, next, every year we get a notification that the Justice Court has grant opportunity for up to $30,000. And we've applied for the last 2 years. Last year we didn't get anything, but the year before we did. And we'd like to apply again, but one of the things they require is that the town in which the justice courts are applying authorizes the application. So there is a resolution. Tim, I hope I did it. I did it. I didn't bother you with it because I've done it the last 2 years. That was very standard. It's due sometime in October, I think, and if Ian can help me with it again, we could get it out. It doesn't take a lot of time, but I'm looking for the board's authorized to apply.
I'll make a motion. Apply for the grants.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Dave seconds it in discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Yeah, I would like to say I appreciate all the work that you do applying for the extra grants and anywhere we can find money to help us out.
Especially this year.
Yeah.
We got budget season coming, guys, and it's not gonna be fun. Thank you. Okay. Next up, I think you all have the paperwork. The preserve drainage project has been a lingering issue for longer than I've been here. And we finally are at a point where, we have been able to put together the means to actually not only fund the project, but get it done this year. So it was bid out through the county's contracting system there, and which saved us the costs of bidding. And our sewer lease consolidation agreement that we entered into in 2020 gave us $200,000 that we could spend on a green infrastructure project, but it had to be in one of the districts where the sewers were. So the preserve project fit the bill perfectly. And we worked very closely with the county's WEP agency, which is Water and Environmental Protection. And that's who we've been working with to accomplish this. We originally last year thought we were going to be in the $380,000 range for this project. And the bid came in at just under 300,000, so it's significantly less. Yes. We had, I think if you heard Tom talking about it when he did his budget, part of the agenda, we are the 200,000, we already have 74,000 that we can put towards it. So we were going to be short a little bit. So we're taking some of the money from our ARPA funds that we got to transfer it to be able to not have to bond or look for money any other way, which would be a significant, again, expense to the town. And as I said, originally, we thought we were going to be in a much higher expense for this project. So it's great that it's come in where it's come in. I wasn't sure if John Dunkel was going to be here tonight or not, but he will be overseeing the project, their engineer. And I want to know if the board wants to discuss this, if we're ready to move forward on it. I also included in the packet, there's a paperclip, the timeline. Their expectation is to be completed with this project by mid-November, barring any unforeseen weather that could mess that up. But they have a timeline here. The bid came in time. I mean, it's amazing that we're at this place, but we are. So the price for the project is $299,449. And I would make a motion that well, I guess I should ask, can I make a motion to authorize me I would authorize the supervisor to sign on behalf of the town to move this project forward to get it done this season.
I'll second it. I think it's great. It's been a long time coming.
Is there any discussion before we vote?
Yeah, I definitely would like to say a few things. We moved into the preserve January of 2000, and when we moved in, it was a field and deer, and then shortly thereafter, it was completely developed. And the runoff off the hill was diverted, part of the original development by Bill Light and their family taking the water off the hill. The problem is in the middle, the way the drainage was designed, it didn't work, and it hasn't worked for 22 years. So I can't share with everybody my appreciation enough. And I think the taxpayers in the northern end of the town, thank you very much for getting this done. This is a really big accomplishment for the drainage and for the people in the preserve. So thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. I will sign this and get it back to Web and they can get the other signature. Actually, it's John Dunkel's signature we need. So, okay. Okay,
First real look at the preserves close up, please. Yo, and fields.
oh, yeah. That's right. What'd you think?
A lot more space back there than I ever thought.
It's green space. They had to make the lots a certain smaller size, so they should, right? Isn't that right, Bill? So, yeah, there would be green space.
It's very nice back there.
It is nice.
My first real full grasp of the whole place.
So the next thing on the new business list is an item amending the town code, no parking schedule to add the Sweet Road in the area of Heritage Hill. I went by there. Wish I could remember. It was right before Farm Days, that weekend before, I'm pretty sure, and was not happy to discover that some people think it's okay to park on Sweet Road. And so I called Palladino's and I was concerned. And I said, is there any way we can put signage up there? And they said they don't want to put it on the road itself because then they're liable. They were concerned about liability and it's not their road, it's the county's road. So I called the county and in talking to them and in talking to Tim, I discovered that the county will help with figuring out where the signage itself should go if the town has a no parking provision in its code, then we could do that. The unfortunate part was that Sweet Road wasn't part of that. So we have to amend the code if we want to put no parking signs in areas on both ends, both the north and the south, coming into the area where Heritage Hill is. For any of you who know Sweet Road in that area, it's limited sight distance when you exit the main exit at Heritage Hill. So, and it's not a good idea. People should not be parking on the road up there. It's a huge safety issue.
We've had some serious accidents up, not because of there, but throughout the years, there's been some serious accidents on Sweet Road.
I know that.
I think it's
Every time I hear
I
that
think
crash.
it's a great idea to.
Okay,
Yeah,
Good.
was this, Renee, was it a one-off that you saw the parking or is this an
I don't
ongoing?
I don't know because I don't tend to go,
Was when that Cassie Lynn was.
there was
up there
somebody
that
saying
Saturday
Lafayette.
night.
She brings a big crowd.
She
Yeah.
does.
Doesn't he have lots of parking?
He has a ton of it. So
I know he has overflow.
he is in favor of this.
Yeah, exactly.
And as a matter of fact, he sent me, Dan, I'm talking about Dan now. He sent me a photo of a sign that he's putting in his parking lot for when you exit, that there's no on road or no street parking and to go to the overflow parking. So
Right,
he's
he's got
gonna.
tons of space.
He does. So it should not be happening and it's so dangerous there. So in working with the county, as I said, we already have a no parking provision, but there's a schedule that's attached to it and it's only for certain places in the town. You have to add this area to that schedule and it has to be a local. It would be an amendment to the code. So it's a local law, which requires a public hearing. So Tim graciously, quickly came up with a draft that we can work off of so we could get a public hearing next month.
I think it's a great idea.
So
Is it just one last question? Is it lit? You said north and south on Sweet Road?
That's Sweet Road.
Yeah, how far? I mean, is it?
well, that's what we're trying to figure out. So I'm looking at the map now. BR, jump in anytime you want. Two intersections are Pratt's Falls Road and Sweet Road and Hamilton Road and Sweet Road. Do you want to just make it for the entire stretch of road?
Might as well.
I mean, there's part of it that's guardrailed, so you can't,
Yeah, but
I mean, you
Yeah.
wouldn't park there, I think, anyway, but.
Not a real reason to have people parking there anyways.
Right.
so So if you guys are okay with that stretch, then it looks like Heritage Hill is right in the middle of it.
Just gonna walk everybody. That helps if there's any events, anything else going on around there, it just keeps.
I'm thinking it sounds like it's easy to manage. You know, you have two major.
Well, I
landmarks.
definitely think it should go to Pratt's Falls.
Yes.
That's
funny.
Yeah, yeah.
A mile and a half.
The other way I wasn't sure about,
So
but
after you amend this law, the county comes and they map it out, then they put the no
No.
parking signs up.
you put the.
There it is.
Road.
That's the deal we
But
made.
they map it out.
They will come and help you, yes,
It's helpful,
figure out
right.
where to put the parking signs so that you know, the no parking signs, I should say, so that you know where to put them, but it's on the town to put them in the ground.
And then is there an enforcement arm that if
Well,
people
sure,
are parking
yeah.
there?
Yeah.
The sheriff has to.
They
Then
can,
if someone's parked, the sheriff's can come and ticket them or.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So, I'll make a motion. We hold a public hearing on October 3rd, 2022 at 6:35 to consider the adoption of local law number, I don't know what it is.
Whatever
it is. Amending the chapter law.
who seconded it?
James.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye, opposed, motion carried.
Okay, so that's gonna be on both sides of the road from Pratt's Falls Road to Hamilton Road.
Right.
Again, sending it.
And Hamilton is Way Road.
No, Way Road is
On
below
that
Hamilton.
side.
No,
It's not that much.
it's not by my, it's like a big,
Way Road is a separate road.
yeah, but I'm saying if
Hamilton is closer, sorry. Hamilton is closer, Way.
So Hamilton goes into Sweet, then you go a little south by a little bit, and then Way Road starts and goes east.
Okay.
According to this map. what he
Yeah,
says.
no, it doesn't matter to me as long as it's
Right.
below Hamilton.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, because Hamilton, it tees into Sweet.
Okay. Public comment.
Then could you see if there anybody?
Barbara.
You had money into that?
Oh, sure.
Just a couple things. First, I want to start by thanking counselors, Life and Angelo and Loomis for bringing the resolution tonight regarding the solar project. And the only other thing I wanted to bring up, and I sent an email last month after the meeting regarding the short-term rental committee work. I am more than happy to help on the insurance piece of it. There's a lot of things to consider about the right type of policy that they should have, means of egress, safety, risk management. So it's including coverages, liability, all of that. So if there's anything that I can help with on that, I'd be happy to help.
Want to express disappointment. Of course, from a company standpoint, it's a lost business opportunity. But I think it's for the town, it's a lost opportunity as well, to take responsibility, some responsibility for your energy production, to support renewable energy, like other towns and communities in New York have done and continue to do so. Sorry for the mask, I had head cold, so just keeping covered up for now. Don't think it's COVID. That being said, but anyway, it's a lost opportunity. And again, we're talking about 22 acres out of over 40,000 acres in the town of Pompey, 0.707% of the town's land for a project that would have produced enough electricity for over 800 homes. And I had not heard the memo conditions before. I was a little surprised and taken aback at some of them. I mean, the arable land question is an important one. We can have a good discussion around that. But like much of the farmland in upstate and western New York over the last 100 years, this site in particular had reverted to forest. 10 years ago, this was forest and brush that Mr. Osakowski, the landowner, cleared for his own purposes, for his own use. And then a couple years ago decided, you know what? I want to keep it productive, but this time as a community solar project, generating energy for my community. And this is a project that was dual use. So not only can you make energy there, but you can graze sheep. And I know that's kind of been looked at with some eye rolling or some skepticism. I drive past 3 projects on my way here, Tompkins County and Portland County, that are actively grazed. It's a viable dual use solution, food production and energy production. It should not be disregarded. So that 22 acres that Mr. Osikowski wanted to put to use was not putting pressure on farmland in the town of Pompey. He was the farmer, he was using it. It didn't displace any tenant farmer. I don't understand that. You know, the view shed, did we provide enough information? I thought that we had. We did visual simulations, we did an impact study, we provided full-size representations, modeled screening, and we're open to additional feedback. To imply somehow that this couldn't be mitigated, the impact on an adjacent landowner couldn't be mitigated, I don't understand. I mean, we've shown and had site visits that clearly demonstrated the visual impacts were minimal, either completely avoided or easily mitigated. And from any publicly visible standpoints, there's no impact that certainly can't be mitigated. From a diligence standpoint, you understand the town's concerns given some of the history that I've heard about with other projects. So the money that we put up there, the escrow money, certainly would be enough for engineering and legal review to get the town to the point where if it was needed, if we somehow didn't live up to our responsibilities, decommissioning would be initiated. And the decommissioning money is accounted for in the town law. It's all there. If we're not living up to our obligations, the escrow money would be there. And then the decommissioning money would be there to remove a project if it got to that situation. On the pilot side, you know, what we put out there from the pilot standpoint was market rate. We'd certainly listen to OSIDA when it came to cost benefit analysis and what money should be put out there. But what we relied on was market rate. And then we tried to add to that to make it even more appealing to the town, more beneficial to the town. So I really do have trouble understanding how it's not a net benefit to the town, but I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Gordon, I just want to commend you for the way you've handled yourself with this. I think you've been put to the test a number of times and you have never like lost your cool. I couldn't do it. So
Thank you.
And I will say, even as a downvoter on a thing, I think you have done a great job as far as presenting your side and doing anything that what was asked up here. I think that you did your job very well.
So
So
thanks, but it probably would have been better if you had voted for the project.
I understand that, but I'm saying that I very much respect how you
yeah.
presented your thing and that you did very well with that.
I do. I think he took it better coming from me, James, than he took it. Okay, I don't see anybody in Zoom. Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss a medical, financial, I have to read this, credit or employment history of a particular person or corporation or matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation.
I second it.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We will adjourn to executive session out here and Nikki,
It was pretty crappy.
Yeah, I think,
I think if we did it earlier and more often and more, you know, because you could tell parts were mowed more often than others.
yeah,
So.
You guys, give me back your
It
folders.
was.
I haven't,
my folder.
you know, I keep them, so I next month I give you the, unless you need
Oh, yeah,
it.
no, no.
If you don't, otherwise, Tom or
You want everything in it too.
Tim never remembers. No, you keep your stuff. I just want, I just give it every month. It's just easier.
It's always better once you know the lay of it too and know what's where, the
Yeah.
little holes, the little things.
Okay, so does someone want to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Good night all.
Yay.
Who made the motion?
I seconded it.
I can't find my top.
What did-
pen. I got, oh, there it is. See it early. Okay.
So, Tom,
Can you